Give me a go, no go for launch.
I love this movie so much.
I did not really like this film at all.
This is the most Zach movie ever made. You gotta see it.
Movie reviews. I decided we were going to review a movie, and since we're talking, we're going to talk about it anyways. And that movie is Bad Hair, a new Hulu original movie. I believe they bought it at Sundance this last year. Todd, you're going first on this one. Tell us all about Bad Hair and what you thought.
It is directed and written by Justin Simien, who was the director and writer of Dear White People, which also spawned the TV show, which the movie I actually like a lot. This movie is about a girl named Anna, played by Elle Lorraine, and she is an employee at a music television network, and she's told that she can't really advance her career if she looks the way she does, so she gets a new weave hairdo, which eventually kind of takes on a life of its own and kind of haunts her and everybody around her. The movie fits in with a lot of horror movies recently in like tone and ominous music. The cinematography is kind of annoying. Like it has like really random angles for no reason, and it's like got really excessive cutting too, so it's kind of unclear what you're looking at sometimes. But it does have sort of an interesting flair in that way, I guess. The shots of her hair being cut is like really uncomfortable, and the visuals and the music are just like cringe-inducing. It brings to mind a lot of like old body horror classic movies. And it was really kind of disturbing in those scenes. I think it's inspired a lot by Jordan Peele, because there's like a lot of digging into mythology and like creepy ghost stories and putting them into seemingly normal real life scenarios. And I actually kind of like the setting a lot. It reminded me of Mad Men in a way, where it's like she's like this almost like secretary kind of feel, and like how she's competing professionally and for attention and respect with her peers. In a world where she probably isn't going to get there regardless. Vanessa Williams plays her boss of sorts, and I think she owns every scene. She's awesome in this movie. Jerry Farrow's fun to see. It also has actors like Kelly Rowland, Lena Waithe, and James Vanderbeek is in there for some reason, which was odd. The movie is really ambitious, and which made me kind of think that it reminds me more of like a director's debut film more than like the sophomore effort, because it takes a whole lot of risks to try to get attention, and I don't really think that the director needed to do that in this scenario. And once it actually gets to it being like a horror movie, it kind of feels gimmicky and derivative. It works as like a background thing, but not necessarily as like the driving force in the movie. It becomes like a cross between Evil Dead, Black Swan, and Jennifer's Body, and it really sort of unravels after that. It does have something interesting to say, which like it's about like the battle that black people have in trying to maintain self-respect and identity and not forget their own culture and values while they're trying to survive in a world with impossible expectations because they're not white, so they have to sell out and sacrifice. Like, I appreciate what it's trying to say. I just think it deserves something more of a polished movie than this. I'm giving it 2 stars. I wouldn't necessarily discourage you from seeing it, but I mean, you just got to know what you're getting into.
Yeah. I'm right on the like 2.5, 3-star fence. I'm siding on 3 stars. It was entertaining. It was way too long. There was no reason this needed to be anything more than an hour and a half, maybe an hour and a half. The setup took way too long. So Zach texted me this morning, and he didn't get a chance to watch it yet. So he asked, "How was it?" And the first thing out of my mouth was, "It was a Jordan Peele wannabe." And it's funny how, at the same time, Jordan Peele has what made Get Out so great is he really created this new genre, this new subgenre of kind of, race relation horror, and this is really tying into that a little bit. I think it was, like I said, it was a lot of fun. You're right. Vanessa Williams steals everything. I love seeing the random familiar faces. It's always great to see Jay Farrow in something. And then like Usher pops up. Laverne Cox is, I was waiting for her to come back at some point, and she never did. But yeah, it's really, it was really fun, and it was campy, but in a good way. It just thought it either needed to focus more on like the social side of things, or kind of leave that more in the background and because in trying to focus on both, it just made it too long, and the focus was kind of all over the place.
You see the comparison to Black Swan though, like even in like the like the scenes where it's like showing her hair and stuff, it reminded me of those scenes that you just like make you cringe in Black Swan, where she's like pulling those like spokes out of her skin and stuff. Like,
yeah,
it does a really good job at making you uncomfortable in that. Which I mean, it is a horror movie to an extent, but it doesn't take it that dark because it still is like a comedy at its core at the same time.
Yeah, a couple other things I thought were interesting. Ella Rain, she was good. However, I can't see her as a VJ. Like just her presence when she was trying to host the show. I'm like, there's no way she could ever pull this off. And from the first time she tries to show what she could do, it's like, nope, this is not, nope. And then, is it just me, or does James Vanderbeek look more like a grown-up Zach Morris than Mark Paul Gosselaar now looks like a grown-up Zach Morris? I mean, this week we got the trailer for the Saved by the Bell reboot, and I'm watching James Vanderbeek. I'm like, that's what Zach Morris is supposed to look like, not Mark Paul Gosselaar. I mean, he just looks strange, donning the blonde hair again. It looked weird.
Well, I mean, because you've at least seen Mark Paul Gosselaar do other stuff, like
True.
the last 10 years.
He's just big now. I mean, he's like, not like fat. He's just, got some muscle to him. He's a broad dude. And Zach Morris was this slender guy, and James Vanderbeek, I mean, just the face. I was watching like, not saying he looked like Mark Paul Gosselaar. He looked like Zach Morris. And then like wearing like the Miami Vice get up too. I mean, it was that whole late 80s, early 90s look that Zach Morris has. Yeah, and it didn't help that yesterday morning, right before I watched Bad Hair, I watched the trailer for the new Saved by the Bell reboot, and which looks pretty great, by the way.
Yeah,
it looks pretty great.
That comes out next month, right?
I think so. All right, so I gave it 3. What did you give it again?
2 stars.
2 stars. Okay. Yeah, and like I said, I'm complaining a lot about it, but in the end, it wasn't trying to be a whole lot. And I was entertained by it, so I sided on the 3 star.